All right. Good morning, FFA. What's up, everybody? As we kick off this Friday Fusion call, we've got a good one planned for you because you're going to get to hear from one of the top agents who has been with us for a very long time. He's hit every single trip. He had an awesome month last month, and this month coming up here is shaping up to maybe be potentially his record month with his annuities and his life production. So you guys are going to get to hear from him in just a few minutes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But before we jump into that, want to give you guys a big shout out. Even with the snow hitting us over the last few weeks, you guys have hustled and done so well. It's so funny. Growing up in New York, we'd get like a foot of snow. Nothing would cancel. School wouldn't cancel. Nothing would cancel. But in the South, if there's even a hint of snow, everything shuts down. All right. Even if the roads are good, everything's closed. It's so funny. If there's ever another civil war, all the North has to do is drop snow machines down here in the South, and they will win very quickly with that. But all kidding aside, you guys still found a way to make it happen, whether working from home on the phones or whether getting out there and getting after it. So super proud of you guys for just how we are shaping up this month of February. So many of you are on track to just have the biggest year of your life. And I can't wait to see you hit that new career milestone. So hats off to you guys for hustling and making it happen, even with the weather. And I want to give these agents a big shout out here. Check this sale that was posted at 8:19 at night last night. Big shout out to Julie and Becky. Closed almost a $300 a month policy to help their client out. Over $3,500 at 8 o'clock at night for them in production. And that was just one of many that they did yesterday. So they just had an amazing day. They went well over, I think, heck, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 day for them. But look at the hard work, guys. This is what you have to do if you want to be a top agent like Julie and Becky. Sometimes you got to go out there and just put the work in and put the late night work right in. 8:19 at night, still out there working, closed almost 4K of AP. So super proud of you guys for pushing and making that happen. So big shout out to Julie and Becky. Big shout out to everybody yesterday that found themselves getting on the board. But guys, without further ado, I'm going to bring Kirk on here to give you guys an intro on Kirk. Okay? He's been one of the top agents since he started a couple years ago. He's hit every trip. He hit the Dominican Republic trip. He's hit the Greece trip, hit the Cancun trip. And I know this year he don't even get a break because he's got to run to hit Scotland. So he's doing big things there. But this year he has kicked off and just closed a bunch of annuities as well. And I know you guys have wanted to pick his brain as to how he's uncovering those opportunities. And so that's what we're going to jump into. So Kirk, I'm going to add you to the live feed, man. You are live with us. How's it going?
Good, man. How you?
Good, dude. Thanks for jumping on. So we finally got you out of the
Man.
woods
Yeah,
and
you
you're on
lucky
a
it's
call.
lucky it's cold this morning. I'll probably be out scouting turkeys. So
Yeah, it's coming up, man. April,
yep,
right?
yep, April. So it's
Yep.
coming.
Nice. Well, hey, dude, I appreciate you for jumping on here. So, Kirk, to kick it off, man, I know most of the agency knows you, but for those that are watching this that don't, give them your story. Like, what were you doing before insurance? And then what made you leave that 9 to 5 to jump into this industry?
Yeah, man. So I was worked at Wells Fargo for about 9 years and kind of worked my way up with it and just kind of getting to the point where it was, I felt like I was tapped out. I was always working and just not being able to spend time with the kids. I was missing time in the woods, things like that. So
Mhm.
I know Alicia, I think she hit me up for about, I don't even know, maybe 3 years before I ever even, I was like, ever even thought about it. I just kept thinking, it's a scam, about like everybody does.
Yeah.
And finally, just time came, I had my little boy and everything, and I was missing time with him, and I just decided it was the right time. It was God's timing. They ended up kind of really closing like the branches I was at and everything. So everything just worked out in God's timing. I was able to leave there and just transition smoothly into this. And it's been a blessing, just a whirlwind of difference. Just being able to spend time with the kids, the family, and and also being able to go out and kind of make my own schedule to run hard. How I am. I typically try to run hard the first, 9 months of the year. And then when deer season gets here, it's kind of like, so I still work and do what I need to do. But, if we hit a little cold front or something, I don't feel as bad like going out in the woods and trying to
Mhm.
chase that buck. So it's been a life-changing thing for us. So
Yeah. For sure, man. No, I think that's the beauty of this job is that you get to create your own paycheck, but then you get to do the things in your free time when you want to. I think
yeah,
that was my biggest hiccup, man, when I was working a 9 to 5 too, was you
yeah.
just never had time to do anything you wanted to do, and then
Oh,
you'd wake up on Saturday, you'd have to catch up on, things you had to do because you couldn't do it during the work. And it was just like, dude, you're just running this gauntlet, never getting to actually enjoy life.
right.
So, but that's interesting, man. So Alicia hit you up and it took 3 years for you to end up,
Yeah.
jumping into this. I think for a lot of agents that are building agencies and trying to recruit, bring agents in, and for a lot of agents that maybe were introduced to this, but they've not made the leap yet, that's usually how it goes. Like there's a
Yeah.
life event, something happens that puts you in the spot of doing it. But what was that like for you leaving a 9 to 5, right? Probably salaried type job
Yeah.
to just go straight into commission based only sales? What was that jump
Uh,
like?
It was definitely tough. And y'all know firsthand. I mean, I
Mhm,
went through it like just trying to figure out, what I'm doing and, if I'm doing the right thing and or if, and I've even thought like at times like, man, I just need to go back to a 9 to 5 because, at times it was very, very tough. And, I think now like I'm to the point where, I've realized like, all right, man, it really is just a numbers game.
mhm,
And I try to position, and think about it like, um, like I'm going out fishing or hunting or something like that. When I'm knocking doors, I try to make it like that. Like, hey, I'm going hunting for AP. Is really what
mhm,
it is. But I'm just as long as I'm out there in the field and I know that I'm putting in the time and I'm putting in the effort, the reward's going to be there. So you gotta get in that mentality of, you just on days where you don't want to go, or if it's cold outside or whatever, you just still get up and you still go
mhm,
out and do it. And I think once I got in that mindset, um, it all just kind of started clicking. And and when you start seeing those deposits and everything just every single day or whatever starting to roll in, that just motivates you and it motivates me and pushes me more like, hey, I like seeing that come in.
mhm.
And so I just, I try to keep it rolling. But it was definitely tough. I went through a lot of times where I just was like, I'm done with this. And then I think, my wife and then then Alicia and you and, just talked me off of my
Mhm.
ledge and brought me back down, and I think it's definitely helped. And, I try to put God first and everything too now. And um, I pray every day that he leads me where I'm supposed to be, and then I leave it to him, and then I put my effort in, and and as long as you put your effort in, God's going to hold His end up. So
Yeah, for sure, man. I love that. And it's funny. I'm glad that you mentioned, that you kind of went through different slumps and hurdles, right, as you were getting started. Because I think a lot of agents come into this and they're like, man, this is just more work than I thought it was going to be, or it's harder. But really, like you said, if you just put the focus on the numbers, like how many people are you talking to per day?
yeah,
This job will pay you more consistently than any other job out there. Like I remember I was salaried where I was working at before, and I was salaried at, I think it was 70 grand a year, but with bonuses and stuff. And this was way 2017, right? Before I was doing this, you could get probably like 85 to 100 grand a year. When I was 23, 24 years old, hey, that was pretty sweet gig,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
But
definitely,
then here's the kicker with it. Like my job was only as safe as the business I was working for,
right,
and then my job was only as safe as the manager I was working. Like I didn't get to dictate. I could wake up one day and tomorrow be fired and
right,
be
yeah,
at
that's right,
nothing, and with this industry, that just doesn't happen. If you go to work consistently, you'll make consistent money, and you're going to make more money than any other job that I could think of if you do
Yep,
it consistently. But
definitely,
agents
definitely.
that struggle, it's usually the activity piece. So, Kirk, let me ask you this. So, like, what was the most difficult thing for you think about the first year of this business, right? What was the hardest thing for you?
Probably the hardest I would say is, just not having that like, how, like when you're working a W-2, like you're in that mindset of like, all right, gotta go clock in, gotta be there on time, gotta, get on these morning calls, things like that. And it's just programmed in your brain that's just what you have to do.
Mhm.
Well, when you go to something like this, you don't have anybody there besides yourself. You know what I mean? So like I
Yeah.
think just keeping myself in that mindset to make myself go to work, and and I think that was the toughest thing definitely for the first year, because it just, I think between the struggles of, not getting indoors and things like that, it's very easy to talk yourself out of like, just, today something happened today. I'm not in the right mindset. I just need to stay home. And so it's very easy to talk yourself out of going out in the field and putting in the activity. But like you say all the time, activity cures all anxiety. It cures
Mhm.
everything. So, as long as you put it in, then you'll be good. But yeah, I would say that'd be the toughest thing probably for me that first year, is just making myself go to work. It was so easy just to say, I'm just going to go later and then go fish or hunt or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's, yeah, I would say definitely that was the toughest thing. But
Yeah. Hey, that's the struggle for a lot of agents. That's the first
yeah,
thing I tell people when they're looking at doing this is, hey, you got to be self-motivated
yeah,
to, even though you don't have to clock in and clock out, you got to treat it like you do, because otherwise it'll be all up and down. But I don't know if you remember, man, I think after like your first year, I remember you being in one of those little slumps, right? And I
yeah.
remember me and you broke the numbers down of how much you earned your first 12 months compared to what you earned at your W-2. And I think you earned almost like, what was
Oh,
it?
it was
Almost double.
close to double. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
something like that.
And
So
you got to work less hours than
yeah,
what you do
way
now.
way
So,
less hours. So yeah,
yeah. So it's like
yeah.
when you put it into perspective, it's crazy like that. But Kirk, one thing that you're very good at is when you're talking to clients, I don't ever feel like you're selling somebody something. Like we've just this week, right? You've called me in a handful of houses that you've been in, and
Yeah.
we do the call to close and we go over their situation. Me and you've done a couple annuity Zooms at this point. But one thing I could tell is like your client and you jive really well. It's not
Mm,
like you're selling them something. You're just their friend. Like you're just
yeah.
a normal person sitting with them. So give an agent, kind of a tip as to how do you do that? Like, how do you connect with people? How do you not come across as this pushy, salesman type attitude?
I mean, I try to stay just as relaxed and, I don't know, just like when I'm going up to the door and everything, I'm constantly, kind of looking like, if they've got, say they've got like a deer target or something out in
Mhm.
the yard or something like that. I'm constantly looking for something that I can find like just common ground with them. And just like when I get in the door and everything, same thing. Like I'm looking around, I'm looking at like trying to look at pictures, I'm looking at things like that to where it's, I can find something to talk about that would interest them first. Like, and I just try to get them, talking to me about whatever interests them. So they're not just thinking, oh, he's just here to, just sell me something or
Mhm.
whatever. I'm literally there. Just, I want to, obviously make a friend. I want to try to help them as much as I can. And, I like finding out about people's lives and things. I mean, because everybody's situation's different. Everybody, has been through different things. And, it's just, I think to me, it's just fun, kind of finding that out. And so I just try to stay, just real relaxed with them, just like I'm there seeing my parents or my grandparents or whatever. And, most of the time, I mean, I would say within like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, like I feel like I've been there, hundreds of times, and they
Mhm.
feel the same most of the time. And so I think just me just staying calm, staying relaxed, and I just just try to stay who I am, really. I mean, just I'm just an old country boy, just like most of these people that I talk with, just old country folk. And I just try to remember, the roots and everything. And most time it just makes them at ease and everything. So
For sure, man. Let's talk about this. So, you do you do all in person. So you're going up, knocking on these doors, introducing yourself to people. A lot of guys seem to have like this misconception that it's harder for guys to get into someone's door, because like the intimidation factor, right? They think it's easier for girls to get into doors, vice versa. But you really don't ever have trouble getting into doors that I could think of. It seems like you get in pretty much most of what you talk to. What do you wear when you go out there in the field? Like, think about, this is a question I don't really ask people on these calls, but what do you dress like, when you're going out there in the field?
You're looking at it, man. Most of the time I'm in a t-shirt, blue jeans. I wear, most time I wear my boots, like my cowboy boots and stuff. And most of the time I've got a hat on, and my head gets cold. I'm going bald a little bit, so I got to make sure I keep my head warm. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty relaxed most of the time, man. Like in the summertime, t-shirt, or like a nice t-shirt, khaki shorts or something, and I like I said, man, I'm just me. Like I don't wear, like I when I worked at the bank, I wore suits. I had to, man. It's just part of it. And I said when I got into this, I said that's just not me. I said I'm not going to doors, wearing collared shirts and ties and things like that, man. And honestly, people around here, they don't want that. I've even asked people before. I said, hey, does me wearing a hat, does me wearing, t-shirt or shorts, like, does that bother you? And they're saying no. They say, honestly, if you'd have walked up here in like a dress shirt, a tie or whatever, I would have told you to get out of here, man. You know what I mean? So, so just, I mean, just be yourself. I mean, these people, they're just like we are. I mean, they're not, even the higher value clients, man, they're the same people. Everybody's the same. I mean, we all just want to be chill. We want to be relaxed and everything. So, I mean, you're looking at it. This is what I wear. So,
yeah, I think that's the key, man, because if you try to be something you're not, people can sense that. Like I'm wearing my favorite Carhartt hoodie right now. I wear this hoodie like all the time, right? I've had it for forever. And if I go out there in the field to talk to people right now, they can see it's me. You
you'd get in every door probably.
Yep, you got to dress to how you are, and then how the people are that you're going to see. So it's like if you're going to knock in a multi-million-dollar neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you dress up a little bit, but I know one thing that I remember we had an agent get started with us and they thought that they had to wear a suit and tie, and I remember telling him like, dude, you don't have to wear that. Like just wear just basic clothes. Cause if you wear that, most of these people are in their pajamas when you knock on their door, they're going to be intimidated. He didn't listen, man. He didn't get into a door for 2 weeks. Finally, I said, just throw on a regular shirt. He went out there, got into every single door, so you don't have to be something that you're not in this industry, which is what I love. Cause people want to work with genuine people.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like, you could dress up and get all fancy and stuff. I mean, honestly, you throw that flag up like, oh, this is a salesman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like they know that, they sense that. And, you go just normal clothes and things, and like you're there to help them. Just like, like I said, if you're showing up like you're going to see your grandparents or something.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're going to get in. I mean, obviously you're going to have some that you don't, but yeah, I mean, you just got to be yourself, man. So
for sure, man. Now let's jump into this, Kirk. So this year you've really kicked off, you've always done life production at a high level, but you've really jumped all into writing annuities too. You've written what, 2-3 in the past month?
I've got 3, I think, in the works right now. So
and I know last year you wrote a handful that we had helped you on as well. So how do you uncover these things, right? You've written them anywhere from final expense leads, you've written family, you've written people at your gym, you've just like everyone you talk to, right? You kind of introduce this opportunity to people, and it's just a missed opportunity for a lot of agents, and most importantly for a lot of people that could really benefit from the product. But give agents just an idea, man. How do you uncover these opportunities, and what do you say to people?
I mean, really just, like say if I'm in the house, like I'm, going through my presentation. I mean, it's really just going through that presentation and going over, that page where we go over life, health, annuity, or, annuity solutions, things like that. And just asking the questions, man. I mean, and I'll be honest, like, my first couple years, I was very, I guess, timid on, on asking those questions because you feel like
Mhm.
you're not maybe not confident enough. Even though, like when I was at the bank, man, that's kind of what my job was to uncover, people that had higher balances and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, but I got away from it when I think I was so focused on just life insurance. And, you know, this year I decided, I was like, man, I'm gonna, if I can help people to make, money on top of what they're making right now. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that just have money sitting in savings or whatever
Mhm.
it may be. And, like we've said, they don't know what to do with it. They know, oh, I've got it in a savings account, that's what I can do. You know what I mean? And so I think if we just ask the right questions, just to uncover that. And then, once you've uncovered it, just, kind of saying, hey, well, just taking charge and saying, hey, well, this is what I'm gonna do for you is, I'm gonna go through this here, just kind of see if this is something that would fit you to where we can, really bump up what you've got in savings and then, earn you over the years and everything. And, most of the time, like I said, I have a few that obviously are just like I had one earlier this year that was very, timid on it. I think moreover, it was kind of over her head and she was a
Mhm.
little scared about it. But I think if you can position it the right way, like I'm gonna follow up with that lady and, I think we can probably get her. But
Mhm.
it's just positioning it the right way and just taking charge of it, man. Like don't give them the option to, say, oh, well, I'm just going to leave you in savings. Like, hey, well, let's at least look and see what we can do for you. Like, let me go ahead and get this. I'm going to get you on the phone with Ryan, my, annuity partner, and then just go from there and try to set the appointment. I mean, the worst thing they can say is no. And
Yeah.
at least we've, shown them the value of it and the
Mhm.
options that they have. Um, but yeah, just like I said, just going through the presentation. I know like you asked about the people at the gym and things like that, but yeah, when I go in the mornings, man, I try to go pretty early because most of the time that's when all the sneaker people are up there, like the older people. And I just do it to get my mind right for the day too. But
You go give some
um,
door approaches when they're doing the bench press.
yeah, they asked me to spot them or something, and I just get to talking to them about stuff, and but nah, just man, just telling them what I do, and
Mhm.
like this last one that I got, I had helped this guy with some life insurance last year, and I got to talking to him one morning, and I was like, we got talking, he asked me a question about um I can't even remember. I think he said he was going to be, selling his dad's house or
Mhm.
something. And, and he was like, what kind of stuff, can I do with the money, things like that.
Yeah.
And then we just got talking again and found out he had, he already had an annuity that was like getting ready to,
Mhm.
come doing all that. So we got to talking about that. And then, so we set the presentation and then when he gets done selling his dad's house, he's talking about, taking maybe another 50 to 100 or something of
Mhm.
that and rolling it into something too. So I'm gonna stay on him on that. But
Yeah.
yeah, just letting them know what you do. Just making that small talk. If they ask you questions, even though I'm working out stuff, man, I just take the time to talk to them about it and
Mhm.
just answer any questions that they might have. And and sometimes it leads to something, sometimes it doesn't, but you don't
Yeah.
know until you talk about it. So
Yeah. That's a big tip,
yep.
man. 'Cause I think a lot of agents see the annuities you're pumping out, right? But what they don't see is they don't see how many times me and you have gotten on a call with a client or a Zoom and we've presented annuity and it's not closed anywhere,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you said, like might be timid, not do it, whatever. But the thing you're doing, dude, is you're stepping up to the plate so much that you're bound to get a hit here and
Yeah.
there, and I think that's key. And one of the biggest things too, like, if had you not talked to that guy at the gym, he had a annuity that was doing absolutely nothing.
Nothing,
You
man.
know,
Yep.
I think
Yep.
he was gaining less interest in that thing than he would have if it was sitting in a checking account. It was just
Yep.
pointless for him to keep it there, you know? So
Yep.
these clients, guys, a lot of times when they have money just sitting in, you know, they got to have a safety net, right? But anything over that, a lot of people we sit with, their goal is to pass it down to family. And if
Right.
that money's sitting in a financial account, they're going to be paying probate, all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. All
And by
kinds.
putting into an annuity, they get a free bonus and they avoid all of that. It saves them so much money, especially saves their beneficiary from the
Yep.
headache of going through that process. So, Kirk, let me ask you this, right? So, you mentioned that annuities, you know, when you talked to that one lady, right, kind of went over her head. It was sounded
Yeah.
complicated, right?
Yeah.
And I know when you first started writing these things, oh, hold on, Kirk. I got you back here. I hit the wrong button.
Oh, you.
When you started writing these things, right? It was probably similar to you. There's a lot of agents that think, man, that's just so confusing. I could never do that. But
Right.
on these ones this year, you know, I helped you with the presentation, but then I sent
Yeah.
you the app. I said, hey man, fill this out as best you can do it.
Yeah.
Give an agent an idea, dude. How complicated is it to actually write one of these?
It's very, very easy, really. I mean, the application itself, especially the e-app, it's very similar to Sentinel's e-app is
Yeah.
what pretty much what it is on that
Mhm.
Firelight or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, very simple. It's, you're just going through it. I mean, obviously there's some terms and things in there, like, you might have to Google or get with
Mhm.
you on to see, hey, what do I need to put right here? Or if you've got like we had that guy's, policy and like his surrender fees, things like that.
Mhm.
Most of that's going to be in the stuff that we're getting from them, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, super simple. I think might take you 15 minutes, something like that. I mean,
Mhm.
and then once you've submitted and everything, I mean, I think within like 2 to 4 days, Silac reached out to me through email, said, hey, everything's in good order. We've got the transfer rolling. We're just waiting to hear back from who we're transferring it from. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I would say super, super simple. And obviously, the more you do, the easier it's going to get. You're going to know, what qualified, non-qualified, all that stuff is,
Mhm.
and just the things that you need to put in it. But yeah, I mean, it's just going, just practice is all it is. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, guys. So if you're contemplating, you know, writing these or not writing these because you think it's confusing, it's so easy. It's so
yeah,
easy to do. You know, you could do a 10-minute call, break down what each thing on the app means, and you'll
yeah,
remember it. It's honestly sometimes it's simpler than life insurance. You don't
yeah,
even got to
I
ask
would say.
medical questions, you know?
Yeah, no medical questions. I think the page maybe that would trip you up a little bit is like the suitability page
Yeah.
where you're trying to kind of get like some of their financials and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But I mean,
Yeah.
other than that, yeah, it's super simple. So
Super simple. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, hats off to you, dude. I mean, I think if I look at everything you've written just this year, you've earned your clients in terms of bonuses 30, 40, $50,000 like of just free
probably.
money getting added to their accounts, you know, for
Yeah,
doing all of this. So
probably.
last
Yeah,
thing too, last question for you, Kirk. So not only are you writing them, right, but you actually got one for yourself, which I think is
I did.
huge
Yeah,
for agents to be selling something to actually have the same product for themselves that they're offering clients. It says a lot. You know, it says that you're not just selling it, but you actually believe in it. So what went into your decision to actually get annuity for yourself?
I mean, like I think just going through like seeing like the benefits of it and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know I'm young, so a lot of people probably say, annuity is kind of stupid. But I
Mhm.
mean, I ran through the illustrations, I played with the numbers and things like that, and I was just looking, like by the time I retired and everything, kind of what could be in that
Mhm.
annuity and the lifetime income that I could get off of it. I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer, like, and
Yeah.
obviously you're not going to lose any money on it. So
Mhm.
I think it's very important to kind of have things, and I think we talked about this, but have things in different types of, portfolios and things
Yeah.
like that. And it just, I don't know, it just made sense, man. I had a little bit of, some sitting there and it wasn't really doing anything.
Mhm.
And I said, man, I'm just going to do it, and I
Yeah.
mean, worst case, I put it in there for 14 years or whatever. I'm
Mhm.
still, I mean, I'm 36 right now. I've got a while before I want to retire. And, I just said, well, let's just see kind of how it does. And, we can
Mhm.
kind of play with it every year. And it's something that I can go in and do. I don't
Yeah.
have to rely on, a financial advisor or whatever, to kind of manage it. And it's something I
Mhm.
can do. And I'm not paying them, a fee every year to do it.
Yeah.
It's just a one shot and done. And then,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think, like I said, man, just looking at, like, what the lifetime income I could take off of it once I hit that age or whatever,
Yeah.
and just what I could have in it for the kids and my
Mhm.
wife and everything. When I hit that age, so just made sense.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I know when we were talking about that, it really does. It's a especially for self-employed people,
Yep,
like it's a perfect thing. You toss it in there, let it sit there forever,
yep,
lifetime.
yep.
I mean, you just can't really beat it. You're not going to lose
Right.
money. So that's key. Last
Yeah,
question
man.
for you, Kirk, as we wrap
I,
up the oh, go ahead, man.
I was gonna say this
Yeah.
too. I even kind of ran some numbers for doing one for my kids,
Mhm.
and man, it's not a bad idea to look at that either. I mean, because
Yeah.
you're getting the bonus to to put in there.
Mhm.
Like, say if you've got eight or clients that have small kids and they've been
Yeah.
saving up, and they've got to look like 10,000 or more in a savings account. Run
Mhm.
through an annuity,
Yep.
illustration with them, because I mean, and like, say my kids are 5 and 2, and I think by the time, if I were to put like 10,000 in it,
Mhm.
um, by the time they're 25, ready to get married or buy their first house or whatever, we could look at it and, man, they could potentially have, 40, 50,
Mhm.
$60,000 in that thing sitting there
Yeah.
ready for a down payment or whatever it may be. So
Mhm.
it's not a bad thing to look at for them either. So don't count those out.
Yeah. No, that's a great tip, man. We actually just we had another agent. We did an illustration for one of her clients who he wanted to put some money aside for his nieces and his nephews
Yep.
and or actually his grandkids. It was his grandkids. And yeah, it was the same thing. Like if you look at that, what the longevity of that compounding interest is for
Oh
kids,
yeah.
it's a great plan. I mean,
Yeah, it
especially
is.
if you want to set them up for success when they're older, when they're getting married,
Yep.
buying a house, if they're going to college, whatever it is. So, but hey, last question for you, Kirk, man. How does an agent become successful in this, right? You've been doing this for years now. You've won every single year, all the trips, you've done phenomenal since you got started. What's the difference between an agent who fails and an agent who wins, and how do they win?
Um, I would say the difference, between an agent who fails and wins is somebody who fails is, obviously is just not probably just in their head a lot. They're not going to work. They're not putting in the effort. They're not putting in the time to really have the payoff. And then
Yeah.
you gotta be coachable. You gotta be willing to swallow that pride and say, oh, I am struggling. I need to reach out to somebody and just kind of
Mhm.
see, why I might be struggling. And then, if you can do that, just keep pushing and just, trusting God that He's going to provide for you. I mean, He's going to always provide for you, but He wants us to put in our effort too. Like, He's just not going to give it to you. You
Mhm.
got to put some effort into it. But I think you just stay focused, stay consistent with it. Obviously, this is a job where you can take some time off, and not have to feel guilty about calling in or
Mhm.
whatever. So I mean, obviously do it. I mean, I do it. I mean, you know how I am. Like, I like to do stuff too and go out and have my free time. But I think you got to stay focused on, the reason why you got into this, and just continue to push, and continue to push for your kids or whatever it may be,
Mhm.
so that they're not struggling, and you can kind of set them up for their future too. Like, just, probably last thing I'll say, just don't let it be about you. Let it be about
Mhm.
your family. Let it be about your clients, whatever. You know, just don't put, like, hey, I want to make a bunch of money for me. you know, go and do it for somebody else, and then God will reward you. So
yeah. Love that tip, man. One of the best ones I heard. So guys, take that from Kirk. Kirk has won every single year, won every trip, always doing big things. So just take his tips and run for them. So Kirk, I appreciate you jumping on here today, man, and sharing all those tips. Hey, hats off to you, dude. When all these annuities plus your life production, you have a big month last month. Agent of the year is in your sights this year. So
we'll see. I don't think a guy's ever won it, so maybe
I don't think so. I don't think so. You got to take that title from the ladies. They've got the bragging rights here at FFA.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah. So we'll see if you can take the throne back, Kirk.
All right, man. Sounds good. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man, for jumping on here. All right, guys. Hey, that's all we've got for you on today's call. My biggest takeaway from Kirk is just show up, go to work, serve other people, right? And you're going to have the results that he gets. And so as you guys run out there to close out this week, let's finish today strong, finish tomorrow strong. Don't forget, guys, we have a new way of reporting weekly numbers. So I got with all of your coaches yesterday on Zoom to talk about how we're reporting numbers. So they will spread the word out to you for reporting in your production for tomorrow. But it's going to be an exciting way to get some leaderboards going, get some team leaderboards going. So I'm looking forward to that this weekend. But let's go have a big day tomorrow and close out strong. We'll be back here on Monday.